Look at a map of India, and you're looking at a continental heavyweight. It is a massive, incredibly diverse landmass, housing over 1 billion people and one of the world's largest economies. But if you trace that immense footprint and start sweeping eastward, the geography suddenly collapses inward. Sitting out here on the far eastern edge is a massive block of territory. This region is made up of 8 distinct Indian states. Yet all 8 of those states are tethered to the main body of India by this single, incredibly fragile thread of land. At its absolute tightest point, this geographic bottleneck shrinks down to a width of roughly 22 kilometers. Officially, this is the Siliguri Corridor, but military strategists and geopolitical analysts usually call it something else: the chicken's neck. The physical connection, its economic survival, and military defense of an entire region relies entirely on a land bridge so narrow you could drive straight across it in the time of a standard morning commute. To understand New Delhi's headache, see what squeezes this land. West is Nepal, south, Bangladesh, north, Bhutan, a tight 3-sided box. Consequently, all critical overland infrastructure, major highways, railways, and heavy pipelines are violently forced through this dense gap. That dense knot of asphalt and steel is the sole delivery mechanism for commercial fuel, consumer goods, and major trade shipments, keeping those eastern states running daily. This area operates as a highly pressurized circulatory system for the Indian state. It absolutely cannot afford a single point of failure. But the borders of Nepal, Bhutan, and Bangladesh are relatively stable. The real threat emerges when you look slightly past Bhutan. China has a long-term strategic focus here. They know applying military pressure near the chicken's neck effectively threatens India's eastern connection. That strategy became physical reality during the 2017 Doklam standoff, with Chinese forces operating dangerously close. Indian troops had to physically intercept and halt the Chinese advance in freezing, high-altitude conditions to prevent a potential breach toward the region. Holding these lines requires continuous support. Convoys of troops, weapons, and supplies must constantly navigate difficult mountain roads to maintain strong defensive postures. With the continuous risk of an incursion looming from the north, a route built to handle civilian trade has to pull double duty as an active, high-stakes military supply line. So what happens if that pressure boils over into a conflict and the 22-kilometer strip is actually severed or blocked off? The immediate result is military paralysis. The Indian armed forces would lose all overland capability to transport heavy armor, reinforcements, or critical ammunition into the northeast. The thousands of personnel already stationed along those vast eastern border fences would be entirely physically cut off from mainland support. Simultaneously, the civilian infrastructure collapses, commercial trade grinds to a halt, regional fuel reserves run dry, and millions of citizens are effectively isolated from the rest of their own country. By threatening this single geographic choke point, an adversary gains massive leverage over every decision made in New Delhi during a crisis. The Siliguri Corridor is India's most glaring strategic vulnerability. The safety, economy, and physical integrity of a massive portion of the subcontinent relies entirely on keeping one 22-kilometer gap open.